In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, well, Kufar, Akbar, everybody, welcome to, and this is the second week in a row. This is an early edition of the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. We're used to starting at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, but today we started a couple hours earlier for our friend from the UK, Byron, the Patriotic Christian. I am your host, Eric Tekafer. I come to you every Sunday from Dal or Harb Kafiristan, from the cavernous caves. Listen, if you want to come to the show, let me know. Let me know in chat. Nico, I saw you in chat. Well, there he is. Okay, I saw him in chat. He didn't have a link, but obviously he has fixed that malfunction and he is here. We are going to be talking about everything UK today. What's going on in the United Kingdom. Some of us, for some of us, we just call it Britain. But then again...
It is Britain.
Okay, well, we call it Britain, they call it the UK, and then you start getting us confused. Well, we got Scotland up there, and we got Ireland up there. What the heck? Explain to the listeners what the UK is.
So the United Kingdom is made up of the four nations, which includes Northern Ireland. I believe before Britain was just I'm not too sure, so do not count me on this. I might be wrong, but I think that the United Kingdom came out of when we managed Northern Ireland, got involved more. Let's just say legally, if that makes sense. There was the Troubles and stuff. I think it was the UK, the United Kingdom it came out of that, whereas it used to be called just Britain.
Okay.
And then,
are you saying that Northern? See, this is where I'm confused. Northern Ireland is its own separate country. Is that right?
So it's part of the United Kingdom. Yes. So it's different to Ireland, even though there's no hard border yet. There's just literally a path. You can just walk in.
You just walk in and walk out, and you're in Northern Ireland. We're in England, and we're in that. Okay.
You can jump, literally jump, and you got the euro in Ireland, whereas you've got British pounds in Northern Ireland. So yeah, it's they're two separate.
Yeah, that sounds confusing. So so you're using different currencies with people that are in your own country.
Well, we're not euro, so we're pounds sterling, same as Scotland, same as Wales, same as Northern Ireland. Whereas because Ireland's still in the European Union, they're using euros. So we're not in the European Union, and we didn't want to sign to using the euro neither.
Right. Yeah, and I remember that was that big Brexit push that was going on, and I was all
That's
down
it.
with that struggle. I remember that, and I was like, "Yeah, you guys go." So let's just start with Ireland. Let's your neighbors, Ireland. Okay, now let me just make sure everybody understands who Ireland is. When Israel had responded to the October 17th attacks and started attacking them, Hamas over in Gaza, and basically giving them what they deserved. Benjamin Netanyahu was taken to the Hague, referred to the Hague by South Africa of all states. South Africa is a lawless country, degenerated into a cesspool of garbage anyway. But they take Israel to the Hague, and if I remember right, didn't the Ireland support them in that? If I'm not mistaken, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe they did. So, and they wanted Netanyahu arrested for was it crimes against humanity and other things, like genocide and certain other things. They've got a very left-wing government at the moment, just like as many other countries in Europe currently does. However, the people, I would say the majority in every European country right now is more on the right wing and is getting forced because of the left wing ideology and the unholy alliance of them and the radical Islamists. They're forced in the Overton window to move ever so further to the right than ever before. So, yeah, everyone's up in arms at the moment.
All right, so but including Ireland, they're having protests in Ireland today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going with the protests going on over in Ireland? Then I promise you, we're going to get to the UK. We're going to get to you guys.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
These guys are neighbors. These guys are the ones that are kind of out in front of everything right now. I was watching. I think it may have been one of those videos that you sent me. The guy was talking about, well, this whole powder keg of people finally just having enough. And this whole thing erupting into a civil war, revolution, whatever they want to call it. He said that it would probably start because all of the conditions exist in Ireland right now for that. Go ahead and let us know what's going on over there right now.
Yeah. So for a long time now, I mean, you have to look at the countries. So Ireland, as well as Britain and many European countries, we always have our own traditions, our own culture, our own social fabric, which makes us unique to others. And Ireland has exactly that. You have, your dancing, the music, everything over there is beautiful. They have their life, and that's the way they want to keep it. And then when you try and import people who hate the West, who hate other people's culture, that refuse to integrate and assimilate, when you import millions of those into communities across your country and they refuse to get on and chip in, and they're being treated better than the indigenous native people, it causes resentment. It causes division and bitterness between those two. Then later on, you realize that these people, they don't just leave their cultures where they came from. They bring them with them, and they try and replace your one with theirs. And at the same time, they use all their teachings and laws, more specifically towards Islam, to go and attack or assault young girls, women, and use their religion and culture as an excuse. And they'll often tell the victim that it's in the name of Allah, or that's what they believe, and that it's okay to do this, that, and the other. So when communities start learning about these people and learning about where they've come from, what they've been doing, and there's an attack, and then you let that go and you're tolerant about it, you think, right, there's bad people in every country. And then another one happens a day later or 2 days later, and then it again and again. Eventually, you'll have the native indigenous people say, look, enough of this now, we want something done. Now, in normal circumstances, most governments would listen to their people. But up to now, for the past 3 decades, we're looking at a melting pot, like you said, a powder keg, if you like, that has been building up, where our people have been trying to vote, trying to doing petitions, doing whatever they can to have their own say in their country, and they've been ignored. So now, as a result, you've seen normal protests take place, as you do in most countries. But last year was the most recorded amount of protests ever in Europe, in every single country, ever to take place in a year. And again, it's got nowhere. So with the latest stunt happening over in Iran, with fuel prices going up, this was, I believe, the deciding factor for the Irish to finally come out and say, do you know what? This is it now. We are sick of this, all of it. So it's not just about the fuel. Many have come out, and they've come out about, so there's stuff to do with the housing element. There's stuff to do with the immigration side of it. There's stuff
now, what is the housing element? Because here in the United States, the housing element, this is kind of foreign to us, because all of our housing is privatized. We don't have like lists for people to go on.
Yeah.
It's you rent or you buy, whichever you can afford. What is it? What's up with that? I've never really understood that. Is that you have like government housing where people have to get in a queue to get an apartment or flat or whatever you guys call it? What's up with that?
Yeah, so I would say, so this started, I believe it was after the Second World War. The governments realized there wasn't enough housing for people to have their own accommodation, and it was very expensive. Landlords were being very greedy in terms of rent. So they provided subsidized housing, which if you work, then you have to pay rent towards. However, it's a lot cheaper than what the landlords used to charge. And as a collective, when they built a mass amount of homes available for, the population, they make money off the back of it. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. I live in a social house. It's called social housing. I live in a property now that is social house. So it's kind of like guaranteed accommodation. So I live here. If anything was to happen, say they needed to knock this property down, they would have to house me somewhere else. So I wouldn't have to worry about being homeless. I wouldn't have to worry about anything happening. They would have to do something because they're obliged by law to look after me. This is my home. So, and you can stay there for as long as you want. And I believe after a certain amount of time, you can even, if you work, buy that property as well. So that happened. I don't know how far it goes, whether other European countries do it, but I know that Britain and Ireland do. Okay.
So now, are they putting these immigrants ahead of citizens in these houses? So this is the issue, with the immigrants are getting housing before the citizens do. And if you're a citizen, you're like, WTF, guys, I'm a citizen. I pay my taxes. I have a job. I've been paying into this. And when it comes time for me to get a flat, a house, or an apartment or whatever, this guy that broke into our country and his 20 wives, they get something before me? Is that what's going on?
Exactly. Well, it's a lot worse than that. I mean, it's not just with the housing. We're seeing it with healthcare. So if you don't come from if you're an immigrant or of refugee status, you get seen as a priority within 15 minutes. Whereas if you're because we have, again, subsidized healthcare here in Britain, you just turn up, you say your name, they have your records, and you wait in the queue, and that's at A&E. So that what you would call ER rooms, is that right? Emergency rooms.
Emergency, right. Mm-hmm.
And then you have your GP practice, which is where your doctors are. So just little community small hubs that have a couple of doctors there, and they're getting priority on waiting lists. They're getting priority to be seen there in person, and as well as that, they're getting put in front of the queue for social housing. They're getting put in front of the queue. They're getting given loads of freebies as well. So clothes, they're getting given cash on a little bank card they can spend every week. free driving lessons, free trips to the cinema, safari parks, things that you and I would think is absurd, yet they're getting all these freebies, free push bikes. And when they first arrive as well, they get to pick between an iPhone or a Samsung, the newest Samsung that's out. So they get a brand new phone.
Whoa. Say that again. What? They get a what?
So they get one of the latest phones that is made by Apple, iPhone. So you can get the iPhone, is it 17 or 16, one of the latest ones? It's that you get to pick. You can have an iPhone or you can have a Samsung Galaxy S, whatever it is. So that's when you first arrive, and then they give you a big clothes package, which has got brand new clothing from JD Sports, which still has the tags on them. So you got Nike, very good brands. And they just get the red carpet rolled out for them the moment they arrive.
Let me get okay. Maybe because I know, like in here in America, this idea of illegal aliens getting free health care is kind of a politically toxic issue, and politicians will run away from it because they know how Americans are against that, because we pay a lot for health insurance and stuff. So what you're telling me is, okay, let me make sure I get this right. You got guys that are breaking into your country illegally.
So they're breaking the law. They're criminals.
They're breaking the law, coming out on these little dinghy boats, getting on, invading your country off the shore,
which are paid for as well.
And just as soon as they get in the country, they give them a place to live, they give them clothes, they give them food, they give them free health care, and they even give them an iPhone. For God, are you?
I'm not kidding. No, so that just scrapes the surface.
And then it doesn't need to get any deeper than that, brother. I mean, it's not. It
is.
This is crazy. So. And what does the average citizen of
think
Britain
of it?
get? I mean, what do you guys? I mean, do you guys? I mean, do you get a free iPhone?
No, God, no. If anything, the taxes have risen for everyone. They're taking, I would say, like little extras or bonuses that they would give the elderly. They're taking away like warm home discounts and extra help towards their heating during winter. They're attacking our farming industry as well. They're attacking the most essential people of the country in order to fund this operation, which is replacing the indigenous native people.
Okay, so why don't? Yeah. Okay, so. Okay,
it's hard to get your head around, isn't it?
Oh, it's just this is nuts. I didn't realize it was this bad. I knew it was bad, and I knew that you guys needed to do something. Just the raping of your girls alone. When you hear about what happened in Rotherham or whatever the heck it was, we have literally 100,000, tens of thousands of girls getting raped by these goons.
Well, their prediction is 1 million.
Okay, that alone would. Somebody's getting their asses kicked, and not just getting kicked, but getting kicked. Yeah, this is what wars are made out of. So here's my question, because you guys have a different type of government than we do here in America. You guys have a parliamentary system. Now, the parliamentary system is where you have to put coalition governments together. You have to get different political parties to join yours. You have to select leaders for these things. Why in the Hades does somebody like Stammer, get put into power when the majority of the citizens of the country, I mean, can you not get your political parties get their collective crap together to throw people like this out, dissolve the government, and make him, have new elections or whatever?
Well, this is the thing. So for the past, I would say, since 1997, so when Tony Blair first came in and he was prime minister, he's the one that started the whole war in Iraq and, Afghanistan with George Bush. Since that started, that's when we started seeing the open borders. We started seeing this heavy amount of both legal and illegal mass immigration take place on our shores, which is, in our eyes, an invasion. And we have voted since then for this to stop. And at the start, you only had two major parties involved with the government, which was Labour Party, which would be the equivalent of your Lib Dems, and you would have, they're supposed to represent the working class people,
right?
And then you have the Conservatives, the Tories, which is the equivalent of the Republican Party. Well, they're supposed to be. They've become liberal. Now, every time a general election has taken place, every 4 years, like it does in the United States, each party makes the same promises. They both promise to deal with immigration. They both promise to help the NHS fix our health service. They both promise that they'll get things done. And when they get in, they go against their manifesto. They go against their policies, and they throw back everything in the faces of the British people. So
okay, let me stop you. Let me just interject something here real quick. Okay, so this party that they have in right now, these are the Labour Party.
Labour.
That's what Starmer is. Okay, now can't somebody say, "Hey guys, all right, when is your next election? When is this?"
2029.
2029.
Yeah.
Holy.
So a year and a half ago, Starmer got in, and the reason that Labour got in was because people were sick of the Tories failing. It was a punishment election. That's all it was. So people voted for Labour because they felt they had no choice. They wanted to punish the Tories for all the promises they had broken to the British public, and Starmer got in. Apart from that, the majority of the population didn't actually vote. So he did win on a landslide. However, now this is huge now. In the past 4 to 5 years, there have been smaller parties coming together. So they've been coming out of nowhere. So Reform UK is one. Now, they've managed to build a bridge. They've got 8 now, sorry. They started with 4. They've got 8 members of parliament in government now. So they all represent, each one of them represents a certain area of Britain, small area, and they represent that area. So they get to speak at question time, and they've promised that they will do the complete opposite of what the Tories and Labour has done, even though more recently, Reform have exposed themselves, but that's another argument. But another party has come called Restore Britain, but we've had the same, sadly, on the other end, on the left. So although the Overton window has been moved to the right, we're also getting far left parties that have been forged, like your party, the Muslim Vote, which is an official party, and you've got the Green Party, which is run by Zach Polanski. He's a gay Jewish guy who literally stood last week on stage with Islamists that call for the annihilation of Israel, but they were stood directly next to transvestites with their things swinging around, listening to, let's just say, gay music.
They were
They
were exposing themselves?
Pretty much, you could see through.
Can you hold on just a second? I got a
Yeah.
really important call here. Hold on, just let me mute myself.
Wow. Hey, let me take this opportunity to read from Beginning to Pray by Anthony Bloom. I'm going to steal his airtime. How's it going,
Yes,
brother?
Nico. Hope you're okay, brother.
Good to see
Long
you, man.
time.
Yeah, I was just watching your latest update before the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got halfway through, but I'll watch the rest of it later, man. God bless you, and setting an example for the rest of us.
Trying to. Which one was that? The health journey one?
Yes, yeah, the health journey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got another update that I need to put up yet.
Yeah. It's pretty intense. Oh, he's back. All right,
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. That was my doctor. I got health issues. That's okay. All right, so so we were talking about these parties, and you don't
Yeah.
have an election until 2029. Can somebody at least in 2029 point at Starmer and say, this is the guy that appointed a Muslim woman to be put in charge of our security for our country? Can we not
Yeah.
do that again?
Yeah, so we've got Reform UK, which up first started out with the premise of being anti-establishment, anti-DEI, anti-immigration. They were going to pull the stops out, and they were going to be, the solution for the empty vacuum for the right-wing population. However, they've become,
by the way, because that seems to always be the
yeah.
charge. These guys are a bunch of right wingers. We can't have them doing.
Yeah, so the Lib Dems or liberals, you would call it, or the Democrats, you would say they're on the left wing of politics, and then you've got the more Republican or the conservative, they're on the right wing. So you'll have, if you're more extreme than the other, you'd be either more to the left or more to the right, or if you're center right or center left, kind of like that. So that's how they talk about it here in Britain anyway. I'm right wing, unapologetically.
Well, what I'm saying is that when you get into arguments, like I was watching your video that you sent me, and people were calling you Nazi scum, fascist, right wing, all of these things. Number one,
Crazy.
Okay, and you say, well, let's have a discussion. You can't have a discussion with retards like that. I mean,
No.
literally, these people, the brain of the people who are doing this, it does not function like yours and I. I mean, let's just be real. It does not have the ability to cope with, I don't want to say reality. Well,
it just doesn't work.
Reality. They don't have the ability to do that. That's why they're out there screaming at you, pointing a finger at you, calling your name. I always picture, what would I do? I would just say, your mama's fat. How's that? You're going to call me out, your mama's fat. And your uncle is too, who's your daddy. How's that? I mean, that's the only thing you can do with people like that. Because you're not going to engage, especially in public. You're not going to engage. You are not going to be able to engage in a rational conversation with somebody who is acting like a fascist, and then calling you a fascist. We have Antifa. I mean, these were Antifa. This is the Antifa offshoot.
Wow! Yeah, don't get me started. They're a nightmare, pain in my side. They are. Pardon me.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So these parties that you have in Britain and the UK today, they're not going to be. Are you telling me that they're not going to be able to do anything politically until 2029?
Well, that depends. So, if Keir Starmer, so we've got elections coming up on the 7th of May, which are for the councils. And at the moment, the way things are projecting with polls, it's not looking good for Labour or Starmer. Starmer is rated the worst prime minister in British history. He's got a worse rating than Donald Trump here in Britain, and that itself, even for the left to hate him, and the only reason they do is because he won't stop the deals that we have with Israel in terms of what they called the weapons and stuff like that. So that's the only reason why. Well, and we're getting secular politics.
Who's the guy before Church? Chamberlain. Worse than that.
Neville Chamberlain. Well, that's what Trump referred him to. Yeah, he did say he was. He's 100% worse than Neville Chamberlain.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
He's a communist. He's a self-professed communist. He everything that he's doing acts like a communist as well. The way he's trying to give up our own territory, the Chagos Islands, telling Trump to leave alone the Greenlanders, but at the same time telling the people who live in Chagos that if they don't leave certain parts of the island that they're on, then they're going to be threatened with 3 years of prison. He's a nutcase. And he's also about to give this huge building, one of the biggest buildings in London, to China, which has underground bunkers and all sorts of other secret rooms where they could plan and operate any kind of secret intelligence thing down there. He is so scrutinized, it's unreal. So, with that being said, they've been targeted a lot by the left and the right and the centre right. However, more recently, because of what reform has done, being this so-called solution to all this, they've also proved to the public that they can't be trusted, even though they're new. They can't be trusted. And Restore Britain has been set up by a guy called Rupert Lowe. Now, he was in Reform UK, and what he has put forward in policies are unbelievable. In fact, it gives most men I don't know if I want to say the word. It begins with an O when they read them. Let's put it that way, because we're sick of it. We're sick of the way we're being treated here. For example, one of his policies is a man's home is his castle. So if someone tries breaking into your house, you have every right to protect it. Whether that results in someone, losing their life, so be it. You won't get prosecuted.
We call castle laws here in the United States for a reason. Just like
exactly. And free speech will be free speech. That's it. We will have free speech. It won't be this washed up. Oh, you can say this, but if you dare say anything about a minority or anything like, you'll be thrown away in prison. Or if you write it on social media, you'll be locked up.
What if what you say about, because this was part of the deal with the United States. I'm a history teacher, and part of the deal with the United States, why we have freedom of the press to begin with, dealt with the case where you had a representative of the king. He was John Peter Zenger, was the guy that was actually thrown into jail because the governor, I think it was the governor of New York, the king's appointed governor of New York, was corrupt. Just stay with me on this, okay? Because I'm getting to your point. And so what John Peter Zenger, he was the printer of, he was the editor of a paper. So he was printing what this governor was doing. This governor's corrupt. He's got, he's doing this. So they put him in jail. Well, he went to trial. And John Adams, as a matter of fact, John Adams, our second president, actually defended this guy. He goes to trial, and in the trial, it comes out that these things are true. The governor is a crook. The governor is stealing. But since the governor was an appointee of the king, it's the same thing as criticizing the king, and you couldn't do that. So that's why they put him in jail. Well, we put in our Constitution the clause that we will have freedom of the press. You can have freedom of the press in our country, and freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Your country has actually turned that on its head, because so let me make sure this is my point. I'm circling back around here. My point is that even if you're telling the truth about Muslim migrants, even if you're telling the truth about Pakistani Muslims coming in and raping British girls,
you'll get called Islamophobic, a term coined by the Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're called a name, and that name can land you in jail?
Yeah. Yeah, so they've just brought in a new law. So they brought through the back door these blasphemy laws. That's what they would deny that they are blasphemy laws, but they are. If you let's just say if you try and attack Islam, let's say that you talk negatively about the Prophet in a certain way, in terms of,
I call him a pedophile. Let's just get it out there. He was a pedophile. He married a 9-year-old girl. He was 54. He was a pedophile. He's a pervert, pedophile. He's a pig of a man. Okay, let's go.
so yeah, exactly. It's fact. It's historical fact. It's to be branded as a a kind of racism. That's how they've worded it. It's a kind of racism. So you could potentially, depending on what you said and the context of what's took place, end up being put in prison. And on the top of it, because of David Lammy's whole I don't know, how do you word it? He had this, he brought forward this policy where we can't have a trial by jury anymore. So there won't be any juries. You'll just have left-wing judges that just will lock up anyone who's got
judges in your country. Who appoints your judges?
So it would be that's to do with the state, the establishment. So the establishment, it's kind of like all linked in. Our judiciary, our policing, it's all together with the Home Office and so on. So yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy. So you can end up.
If I was to go up to, let's say, that little leprechaun Hamza Mayet guy, you know,
Hamza Yusuf. Yeah.
What's his name?
Hamza Yusuf? Is that the guy from Scotland?
No, this is the guy that he's got his YouTube show. He goes to Speaker's Corner. He's a little guy. I mean, anyway.
I know who you're on about. Yeah.
Okay, so if I was to say, okay, Hamza, you're nothing more than a follower of a pedophile. Is that racist? Yeah. Even though they're a leprechaun and he's whiter than I am, I can be charged with racism.
Potentially, yes. So if he was to then go to the police and report that and say that it's caused him alarm and distress, and he feels that
because it's true.
Yeah, and that he's offended by it and it's impacting him, then the police will arrest you and then they'll decide what they do going from there, whether they've got enough evidence, whether you did it in a malicious, did it with intent of causing him harm and distress. It is a lot more complicated than what people would say, but it has become an easier way for this government to lock up people with opposing views.
Well, what is harm and distress? I mean, I can be distressed by all kinds of things. I can claim harm.
Alarm and distress. So if you're alarmed, let's just say triggered or whatever you want to call it. If you've been upset, offended, you can use that. Offended. If you're offended and distressed by what someone has said or what you have, what someone has done, then you can put in a complaint to the police and they will more than likely chase after that, and they will an allegation of sexual assault. I think it's 99% of crimes that are going on right now in Britain end up with they don't get the results that they should. It's crazy. This is why we're on the tip of what we are, where we've become now.
That's. I knew it was bad, but I had no idea it was this
People
bad.
Don't. Because, this is the thing. The mainstream media, they too are involved with the establishment. They are part of the establishment. They get told what to say, how to say it, and if they don't play along with the rule book, they're gone. It's the same with civil servants. You've got so many parts of this. It's all combined into one. So when I hear Trump talk about Starmer, and he says, yeah, Starmer, I think he's a nice man. He's a nice man, but he was weak in terms of his decisions. Trump has got no clue what's going on here in Britain. If he did, knew the true, the sincere level of tyranny and corruption that's going on here in the United Kingdom, I think he would be putting his foot down and coming over here. Definitely.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, something is going to need to be done. I got a couple points here that I want to get to, but the first one deals with this shtick with NATO and our bombing of Iran and such. And this is serious. I don't know how else to say this, but if you guys do not get a hold of your country and you continue to allow Muslims to run your cities, like whatever's nuts is Khan in London and all of these other cities that are going on, and having the Sharia implemented, and it's going to get to the point where that is going to so permeate your government to where this free speech that you see that's going away, little by little, with people being arrested for this type of, you're not. I mean, we've been allies for over 100 years. Since World War One, and we've been allies historically my entire lifetime and the lifetimes of my grandparents. That's going to end. We are not going to. I will not send my sons, my grandsons, to defend a bunch of muzzrats that just because you're from the UK, it's nothing but a Sharia compliant country. I'm not going to do that. You will, because I know Trump's saying, "Oh, we're gonna back out of NATO," and no, we're not backing out of NATO. He's just letting a lot of these leaders, like
I think he's close to it. I think he is close with toying with that idea, Eric, and I don't blame him.
Well, what we're going to do is like, because I spent a lot of time. I'm retired Army. I spent 21 years in the Army. I know what goes on over there with the bases, where our bases are, and what they do. Because if you look for someplace, let's say Aviano in Italy. Italy did not, and this is the danger. There's a difference between, okay, well, we want you to send. What do you guys have there in England? Tornadoes? What are the fighter jets that you guys use? What are
I'm not so sure. I think it's F-16s, isn't it? I'm not sure.
I can't remember. But we don't need them. We did not need British pilots flying sorties, or Italian pilots, or Spanish pilots, or German pilots flying sorties with us into Iran. We didn't need that. But what we did need is that base in Aviano, to use that base in Aviano. We did need to fly over Spain.
Fairford, RAF Fairford, yeah.
Yeah, so these bases that we have that we were not allowed to use in this operation, these are NATO bases. These are bases that the United States, my tax dollars, we pay for. Road to Spain is a big one. Spain is flipping they've lost their mind. When we talk about the glory of Spain and the Reconquista and all this, you're screwed, buddy. You've just allowed yourself to be retaken over by the same people, somebody that had some balls, like Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand, but that had some cojones, that kicked them out, and now what do? You invite them all back in. This is the danger that we're run into, where it isn't just helping us in this operation, but purposely going out of your way preventing us. These alliances that we have, they are now in jeopardy because of this mass immigration thing that's going on in your country. So it's not only affecting you internally, but it's going to be affecting you externally. This protection that your country had, this blanket protection that Europe has had, not just provided by the United States, but collectively upon each other. Nobody's going to trust anybody anymore.
Well, we have what we call this special relationship, which is with you guys. The United States and Britain has always had this, special relationship, and that's what a lot of the British public and most of Parliament is concerned about, breaking. However, saying that, I'm a bit old school, Eric, and I believe in tough love. I believe that we do need to go through some trials and tribulations in order to give us the strength and backbone to fight back. Because if we don't go through certain things that we don't like, if we don't get pushed to limits and pressures that we never thought we could endure, if we don't get pushed to that, then we won't wake up. We need to wake up that lion within not just politics, but in society as well, to say enough is enough now. Because it is beginning. It took the piss. So excuse my language. Years ago, and we're still tolerating it now.
Okay, you say it's going to take something to happen to push you to that point. This is what I don't understand. You said you had 1 million of your little girls raped by these pieces.
That's an act of war. The problem is
that's what I'm saying. If that does not awaken the lion within the men within the country, I don't
Yeah.
know what else can. I mean, what else? I mean, what else is there to do? Oh, you're going to tax us some more. You can't overtax us. What the hell?
But they've been very smart. This is the problem. The establishment have been very smart because those who dare speak about it, those who dare say anything, get locked up, or you lose your job, you get frowned upon, and once you get silenced, censored, and shut down, that's it. Your life's ended for you. You won't be able to do anything or get a job anywhere, and they make it impossible for you to.
This is when you stand up. And what is that? Well, okay, that's the point where you get to,
Yeah.
where you actually have to say, okay, I'm going to lose my job. You're going to do this to me. You're going to do this. What happens after that? I mean, what is the breaking point? What do people do when they've gotten to the end of that proverbial? When we get to the, do you guys say that in the UK? I'm at the end of my rope. Do you guys say that? I don't know if you say that in the UK.
At the end of our tether.
Okay.
Yeah, we say at the end of our tether.
What happens when you get I mean, what does that look like?
Civil war.
And what does that look like? When we talk about civil war, we're talking about, because I've heard you talk about remigration.
Okay, yeah. So
That would be part of a civil war, if I'm not mistaken.
not necessarily. So at the moment, so there's a party that has come out since Rupert Lowe has left the actual party. Well, he didn't leave. He got kicked out of Reform UK for I don't know what it was. They accused him of threatening Zia Yusuf, another member, which was untrue, and he ended up getting raided on the back of that, having his shotguns taken off. They lied, and Nigel Farage admitted to that on stage at a conference that they were having. So he's created a movement. Before it was a movement, which has now become a political party. Now, that party is called Restore Britain, and at the moment it has made history. It's already made a few records in terms of memberships that it managed to get within a small period of time, and the establishment hate it because this is going to undo everything that they have done. So DER
Parliament right now.
So Rupert's in. He's an MP, and he stands for an area called Great Yarmouth, and he's looking to win the next general election. That's the whole goal. That was the video that I sent you. That was the promotional video of the political party, which sends hairs all over my body when I watch that. It really does. It's so patriotic.
It is, and why I can't understand why that's not more appealing to just the everyday average Brit than I don't understand why aren't people drawn to that. As about because what we did here in the United States, what I'll tell you what saved our country. Because if Kamala would have been there, we would have been just screwed.
Don't forget as well, the mainstream media, they don't talk. We're a lot smaller than the States. So we have like certain newspapers that we know of, and that's it. And they're refusing to talk about Restore, who they are. Unless you've got social media, you wouldn't know about Restore, who Rupert Lowe is.
But okay, so the point that I was trying to make though is that so this is from the Restore Britain party, you said?
Restore Britain, yeah.
Okay, and how many people are in Parliament from that party right now?
Just the one at the moment. So Rupert Lowe,
and
he's the leader of that party.
How many members of Parliament do you have?
So because it's just started, this party has only just come onto the electoral roll. It was a movement at first, but now he's formed it as a political party to kind of rival the left wing and Reform, because he was part of Reform and he knew and come out and he said, look, I was in there. I know that these guys are not going to do what they're promising you. It's rubbish. It's nonsense.
This is the thing. We've tried this third political party thing in our, with we had, let's say we had
independence.
We had Ross Perot. back in 1992, and he sucked so much of the populist vote away from George Bush. He gave us Bill Clinton. That I mean, that's what happens when you have a third, or then you have who was that other one? Ron Paul. We had a third party, and what they do is they suck away normally from the right wing, the center right people into their ideas. My question, because if you look at the Republican Party, our Republican Party, we have Democrats and Republicans. If you look at a Republican Party, if we would have somebody like, remember George Bush? Okay, George Bush, his brother Jeb was like the front runner in 2016, and then you have this douche canoe from New York, Trump, come waltzing in there and just whacks them all, gets the nomination, becomes president, and he changes the Republican Party. So
yeah, unfortunately,
my question is why can't you do that to the Tory Party? Because you already have a political machine there. Isn't there a leader out there? Wasn't like Nigel Farage or somebody out there? I don't know who the hell you got over there. But you
so
got
yeah, Farage.
yeah,
Farage was an MEP, so he was a member for the European Parliament.
right,
But there have been people in the Tories that have tried this, and they have failed because the party. Let's just say, for the United States, you guys haven't existed as long as like we have, for instance. So we've got like what 1,000 years of going back. So when you look at the government, it's been around for quite a while. It's been around the block. So the Conservatives, they would have what they call their select values or their principles of what they usually go by. However, they would deny it, but over time, gradually, they have gone more from, I would say, being conservative to going way to the left to try and please the people. And the reason that this is a big thing now is we've got a huge demographic that is here of the Islamic population that are producing more children and more people than we do. And because that population has risen so much, you're getting parties come into the British government in politics that are appeasing to that vote. And the reason that they do this is because with the Muslim vote, they block vote. So they'll get the imams in you know how that works, so block voting.
like the
I mean, we've seen it.
yeah, got it.
We've seen evidence of it more recently with Gorton and Denton, where the Islamists and the left wing, the Unholy Alliance, they managed to get this woman in called Hannah Spencer, who's absolutely off her head. And this party is talking about, they've got policies to legalize Class A drugs. They want to legalize all drugs. They want open borders. They want to denuclearize our country and set up a program for the rest of the world to follow. They used to be about preserving the habitat and net zero and all this, but now they're about all these DEI nonsense, about transgender communities, about men being able to have babies, tampons being allowed in men's bathrooms, all this nonsense. And when you think about it as well, and you have a little think, hang on a minute, this is completely contradictory to what any Muslim would believe. And it goes to show that what has happened and taken place in Lebanon, Iran, Afghanistan, Syria, and other countries is taking place right here in Britain. So the left are holding hands, the green and the red, they're holding hands together in order to topple this government, to get rid of everything that we love and our traditions, our culture, our parliament, democracy, our freedoms, and bit by bit, they'll chisel away.
What is the minimum requirement to vote in the UK? I mean, do you have to be a British citizen? Because I know you have to be a citizen in the United States, or you're supposed to be a citizen anyway.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing here. They have changed. They've made it so easy for you to become a British citizen. Here in Britain, a piece of paper means you're British. You can swear by the Quran. Now, put your hand on the Quran and say that you're devoted to the king and country, and that's it. You just say the words. You put your hand on the Quran instead of a Bible, and you're a British citizen. As soon as you walk out, you can go and think for yourself and do what you please.
So if you run onto the beach in wherever, pick a place, and
France.
from France, okay, let's say you cross the channel and you run onto the beach, you run to a government office, you get your apartment, you get yourself. For God's sake.
They don't need to do that. Do you know what's going on, Eric? So
you can go down and you can just say, I want to be a citizen, and you can. There's no residency requirement. There's no minimum time.
yeah, so there is an application process which has about a 5-year backlog at the moment, which is why the likes of the Labour Party, what they're doing is they're just swiping them through, saying, here you are, we'll give you leave to remain, which means that they can stay here on a leave to remain basis. So, but what's actually taking place is in France, these guys, whether they've been given citizenship for France or not, it doesn't matter. Some of them have, most of them have, in fact. But what they'll do is they'll throw all their documents away, get on the dinghy, come over, and after they've left, I think it's around about half a mile away from the shores of France, our own border force meets them, picks them up off the dinghies, brings them to the UK. And then they go through the facility. Here's your clothing pack. Pick a phone, iPhone, Samsung, which one do you prefer? Chuck them on the bus, and then they'll house them into a 4-star, 5-star hotel down the road, which is in one of our communities. We know nothing about these men, where they're from, what they want to do. They could be ex-ISIS members. They could be Boko Haram. Absolutely anyone. They could be ex-rapists, murderers.
That's exactly what Biden did when he was president, how he opened our borders and allowed them come pouring in, busing them in.
You get Mexicans for the most part. I think we wish we had Mexicans. At least they'd be Christian.
Well,
but,
and they would be hardworking, and they would actually pay taxes. But the thing with him is that it's getting them out is proving to be the biggest challenge for us. So that to me, again,
it would be the same.
Here, when they come here, at least they can get a job. They can advance themselves because we have a free market economy, and a lot of the labor jobs that we have, these guys, I mean, they're making $25-$30 an hour, which I'm not sure what that is. Like that's like 13.
That's still good. That's very good money. Yeah,
that's still pretty good an hour. And they're able to live a decent lifestyle with these guys that are coming to you. And this is how I want to pin you to this, is when you start talking about remigration.
Yep.
You're talking about physically rounding people up that aren't going to want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would go an extra step further. I think that would cost too much. I have a more cost friendly option, but I don't want to say it because I'll probably get put in prison. But yeah, simply putting them.
But what I was saying is the easiest way to do that is to just, if you haven't paid taxes, if you haven't paid a certain amount of taxes in this country, and you have drawn X number of dollars, and make it a ratio, a sliding scale, do something, and say, and start off, reasonable, and then when you get to these other guys, is say, I'm cutting off your money, dude. You don't have to send them anywhere. You're just getting cut off. You're not getting any more. You're not getting the phone. You're not getting the flat. You're not getting the food. You're not getting
the incentives.
You want to do that? Go get a job. And if you don't get a job, go home.
Yeah, this is the problem. So the Labour Party, because they're so far on the left, they feel that Keir Starmer especially, being this international law specialist or what have you, he doesn't want to get in trouble. So they deserve the same rights as everyone else does. So, but what you're having as well is all these organisations, left-wing organisations and charities, they're pitching in too. In fact, you've got some businesses like Decathlon, they're providing the actual dinghies for them to cross in now. But our government won't stand against them. They're giving them the pumps, they're giving them the engines. And all you hear from Keir Starmer is we're going to smash the gangs. That's all you keep hearing from him. And nothing's been done. You had this 1-in, 1-out deal with the French. Yet the other day you see in the newspaper a picture of 2 coppers in France watching as a boat goes off into the sunset off to Britain with 70 to 80 migrant men on there. And we're not getting the best neither. I mean, even Mohammed bin Salman from Saudi Arabia, he said, you are getting the dregs. You're getting the people we don't want.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're not
We're not getting
careful,
the crisis. We're not getting the doctors and the engineers like everybody says. Oh, your doctors and shut up. These guys are.
and this is what the Greens want us to believe. They're saying, look, they're doctors, they're engineers, they're fleeing war. We should look after them, love them. Oh, you're a Christian, are you? What happened to love thy neighbor? Oh, Jesus was a Palestinian. Jesus was a refugee. This is all we hear from the left.
Yeah, and
And
that's why you can't have a conversation with them because their brain is broke. It really is.
exactly that. So yeah, this government that we've
You're
got, I
saying
mean,
that just cutting off the free stuff is not an option. I mean, don't you have enough British people left in the country that when you go to, and this is why I was saying, operate from within, get a leader from within the Tory party. Even if the Tory party, because the Republicans, we do it. I've been a lifelong Republican myself. And I proudly say this: I've never voted for a Democrat in my entire life, not one. I would never do that. Now I've abstained from voting for a couple Republicans because I didn't like them, but even them, even on their worst day, is better than the opposition. And that's what I'm saying about the Tory party. I don't know anything about the Tory party or any of your potential leaders, but operating from within the system itself, instead of developing these third rails, the Restore Britain, the Reform UK party, these smaller parties that might get. This is the equivalent in the United States before the Civil War. We had a political party rise up called the Free Soil Party. This Free Soil Party was the political party that was against slavery. They wanted to end slavery. Okay. It eventually turned into the Republican Party. It evolved into what is now the Republican Party. Abraham Lincoln, first Republican president, yada yada, and the rest is what we call history. Unless you already have a decent number of people in the party. You said that the Reform Party had 8 members in Parliament. How many total members of Parliament are there? Do you know off the top of your head?
600 and something. 600 and something. But then you've got councillors, and then you've got members of that party as well. So this is the problem. So it's with the Tories, with the Conservatives, it's almost impossible to change their ethos. It's all because they've got so many members, and our parties, of course, that they're made up by those who donate to them. So you've got it's almost like a tradition. You'll have a family that's always voted like yourself. Always voted for the same party every year, and it used to be the case that a family in Britain, you'd have your dad, he would vote for the Tories, your mum would vote for Labour, and you could vote Lib Dems or whatever. Not like I would, but that's how it was. But because of all the problems now, like I was saying earlier, both parties, they're grabbing onto what the British public are moaning about, which is migration. They're saying we're going to the Tories, at first, they said we're going to stop the boats. That was the whole election. That was what it was built on. That premise, stop the boats. Nothing happened. So as soon as they get into power, that's it. It's it. That's done. They've got 4 years, guaranteed job. And all they do is continue saying, all right, we've managed to make some progress. Look, we've just managed to deport 100 people this week. Or we managed to deport 1,000, and then you'll find out actually those 1,000 people that left were our own, and that they were just people that have had enough of paying high taxes. So the rich people are left. All the rich have left here in Britain. All the good people that we need that's had jobs, they're gone. They've gone to Dubai and everywhere else.
Where'd they go? Do you know? Where'd they?
Dubai, Portugal.
Okay.
There are many other places as well. Yeah.
Another one of them.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, and if you look on Google Earth, it was funny. I was watching a video last night where you had There's a YouTube channel called the Lotus Eaters, and they were dropping on places like Eastern Europe. And you look at Eastern Europe, and you think, wow, it looks a lot safer than what Britain does right now. Like, how can we be like this?
Well, that's why Vance, our vice president, J.D. Vance, went to Hungary to support Viktor Orban in his re-election bid. You know, they're
Yeah,
like,
I
why are
love the
you
Republicans.
this guy believes much more in freedom than our closest ally, Britain, does. They don't have any hate speech type laws, but
Yeah.
and it all comes down to this immigration thing.
But
So
it's building though, Eric. You see in Texas and other places as well. I can't remember. It begins with a M. A very Islamified area in America.
United States.
Yeah. It begins with M.
They're targeting Texas right now. It's not going to work out well for them in Texas. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It's not. They have not for the foreseeable future anyway. But New York is problematic.
Yeah.
And even
Once they're in, that's it.
where the Mormons are, for goodness sakes.
And don't forget, neither, they've brainwashed a generation of children without us knowing, making them all softy, welcoming. We as parents, you send your kids to school, they come back, oh, have a good day at school, yeah, great, go and play with your friends. We don't know what's being taught yet. Now we're actually digging into it, and we're finding out what's being taught in these schools. As in America, you're seeing drag queens telling kids stories with their tackle hanging out at the same time. You're seeing all the like kids from the age of 5 being taught about sexual education and all sorts of other weird things. And we had not so long ago in February for Valentine's Day, we had schools getting their children to write Valentine's cards out, love cards, for the illegal migrants that have come here, saying, oh, it's bad for them, the men, that they're so sad, they're away from their families, let's write lovely messages to them. Of course, they're then going to take that as we got cards off these young kids. It's disgusting what's going on here. And then, have you ever heard of lockdown drills?
Yes.
Do you know that?
I'm a teacher. I know what a lockdown drill is, sure.
Yeah, so we've had that for the first time ever take place in our British schools. I didn't have it when I was at school, but in case of terrorism,
we had nuclear drills. We were going to get bombed by the Russians when I was a kid.
Yeah, during the Cold War.
Here's what we do: hide underneath your desk. Oh yeah, that's going to fix it. You got a nuclear bomb, 5,000 degrees outside, but we're gonna that works real well. But the lockdown drills, yeah, we've been practicing lockdown drills. I've been in education for 20 years now. And since I've been a teacher, since, what was that, Columbine, schools have had to do these lockdown drills. Now, you're telling me now in the UK?
As young as 3. So they're doing it in playgroup. They're making kids hide under the tables. They're lying to them, saying, oh, let's play a game of hide and seek. It happened, one of my friends, he went and complained about the fact that they did this in their school, where his son goes, and they banned him from picking up his own son.
Wow.
So his partner asked it, because he was saying, I don't want my child to learn about these drills in case you have some nutcase that has been imported into our country that wants to kill our kids. That's what he said. And yeah, they banned him from collecting him, saying he was too violent or spoke in too much of a violent way. So you can't win. So there's only one way, and sadly,
that's it. Yeah, and well, if you cannot, like I was saying, the likelihood of a third party coming in, and I'm not all that familiar with British politics, and the effectiveness of non-parties. Like here in the United States, you're either Republican or Democrat. And that's just, you can say this, you're an independent, but you caucus with the Republicans or the Democrats. It doesn't, you really have no effective say so. So the question is what do you do? How do you remigrate these people out?
So it'd be so the way Rupert Lowe has set out exactly how this would take place, and reform. At first, Nigel Farage says mass deportations would be impossible. However, a lot of people, even I worked it out, if we did it 15 planes per day and we used Boeing 747s, we would easily be able to extract, I can't remember, I think it was 1.5 million or something like that in a year. But
out you go. No problem.
Yeah, so but it's going to work differently to that. So if Restore was to get into government, and Rupert Lowe was our Prime Minister, and they actually carried out the policies they promised to do, then they said what they would do first is get rid of all the scum that's in the prison that's being, that have been convicted of a crime. So those that have come here that are illegal, they'll all be gone. It'll be the prison lot, those on the terror watch list, they're gone. And then it will be, you work through these phases. So then once you get down to, it'll be things like, if you can't speak English, and you haven't had a job for let's say
English in England, then you got some.
There's loads.
Years, you have issues, yeah.
So we have no-go zones, enclaves of. That's what they do. They don't just. I mean, you see occasional one. I mean, where I live I'm quite lucky because it's 99.8% white British people here, I would say. So I've never seen a police car on the road that I live on, not once. But in a city that I live 20 minutes up the road when I lived there, it was constant. And that's because of the different cultures clashing with one another and the way some of these people act and behave and the things that they believe in, that they just refuse to integrate and assimilate with our way of life. They spit on it. I mean, we always see videos, death to Israel, death to America, death to England.
What do you do with those people that live 20 minutes up the road from you then? I mean,
well, it would be a case
of prisons. You get all the people that are in prisons that are immigrants that came to your country illegally, committed crimes. All right, that's easy. And Trump's done that. Trump's at least tried to do that. As well as he can, but look how that's working out for us with the Democrats wanting to shut down ICE for God. What a bunch of idiots! But
we'll face the same problems. But right. I mean, you have to do what you've got to do. Like Trump's doing it, isn't he? Regardless, he's putting his foot down. He's saying this is happening. Yeah.
Okay. What happens when they push back?
You just have to push back even more. That's what I mean. If it means bringing the military in, water cannons, that's what you do. I mean, as far as this is what I love about Rupert Lowe, because he has got that attitude. Like there is no grey areas. It's black and white. That's it. You shoot straight from the hip. It's we will do this. And if you call us racist, a bigot, a fascist, or this, that, and the other, we don't care about those names. They've lost their meaning because of you. So
exactly. That's what it's come down when they call you fascist Nazi scums in that video, like they were. It's lost its meaning. Yeah, I mean, because you've lost your mind. So let me ask you this: you said okay. So if it comes down to them pushing back, use the military and the police. Now, what is the percentage of Muslims that you have in the military in the UK today and the police forces?
At the moment, it's quite low because I know that they've been driving recruitment programs for quite a while. In fact, they had the police sitting outside London mosques only last year, recruiting from the mosque on Friday after prayers. So that goes to show you exactly how intent they are on getting them involved. But again, I know what you're pushing to here is they could infiltrate all areas of the establishment, including the police and the military. Yes, we do have, of course, there are Muslims that are here that, they are in the military. If they're in the military and they're paying tax and they're abiding by our culture, they're living by our laws, they haven't caused any problems, then of course they've got no reason to leave. They got no reason to worry or anything like that.
Illegally? I mean, if you're in your country.
If you come here illegally, that's it. You're gone. And I think what the aim of what Rupert Lowe wants to do is, for those that have come here that we have knowledge of, we've got their names, we know where they are, they'll just be simply detained and deported. You'll get taken to a place like what you have over in the United States, a detention.
Aren't they receiving public support? Aren't they getting money from the government? These people that you're talking about, don't they get? I mean, these people.
Restore Britain.
No. These people, these immigrants that live up from here 20 minutes, aren't they all on the public dole? Because my understanding is that it's like 9 out of 10 of these guys are on the public dole after 10 years or whatever. of being
Oh
in.
no, they're all like, as soon as they come here, they get that little card which they get to use. It's topped up every week with, I think it's £45. It used to be 70, but it's £45, and
All
they
right.
get 3 meals a day in the hotel that they stay in, and everything else.
All right. Well, out you go. No more free stuff.
That's exactly, well, these ideas have been put around, but unfortunately, our government hasn't got the backbone to implement them. They won't because they're too scared of going against the human rights thing or international law.
Well, I
It's
did.
human rights.
Well, I did see that the European Union did pass a law. I think it was like
It
300.
was recently.
Yeah, it was like 316 to 208. Just it wasn't just a squeak by. I mean, this was a resounding consensus of the union itself that said that
Yeah,
they were going to start looking at how to do remigration. Am I right on this? Or you?
that's correct. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
remigrate. Well, yeah, mass deportations, repack, whatever. You can use whatever framework for it.
So it isn't just the UK or England doing this. This is the European Union, which is not part of the UK because of Brexit. Thank goodness you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are on the ball with that kind of stuff. But with that though, that still does not guarantee that you go to Brussels and you clean out Brussels, or you go to Vienna, which is 40% of the kids in school in Vienna, Austria. Vienna, Austria, the gates of Vienna, for Christ. Come on. 40% of the kids in those schools there are Muslims.
Well, 74% of British schools, I think, are now white minority. So we're projected by 2043 to be a minority in our own country, which is, again, was what I was saying earlier. People are beginning to take this very, very seriously, and that we're on the tension in the air. Honestly, it's even in areas where I live, people are talking about this because they've had enough. Yeah, if you even yesterday, I watched a video of fights taking place within London, within the city of London, people kicking off at one another, and you had that whole charade the other week with Ramadan, where the Muslims took over Trafalgar Square and decided to celebrate Eid in the public area, and they separated the men and the women, and even the London Mayor Sadiq Khan was there and doing what he was doing.
I did see that. Wasn't
Yeah,
you said it was, what square is that? Tariq Square?
Trafalgar.
Trafalgar. Yeah, Trafalgar, yeah.
And the Tories, the
No,
Conservatives, spoke against it.
I didn't realize the historical significance behind the square. And then
Yeah,
they're having this massive prayer there. Oh, I mean, like it's like going to, I don't know, Times Square in New York City and having mass Muslim prayers like they were last month. It's
yeah.
yeah.
It's
I think a lot of it is just telling people. I mean, telling people about Islamic history. I
yeah,
mean, the more people understand, one of the guys that I keep promoting here on the show, a guy by the name of Raymond Ibrahim, and he's got 3 books: The Sword and the Scepter, Defenders of the West, and
it's a good guy. Yeah,
Two Swords of Christ. These 3, and they give in these books, and he speaks Arabic.
I've spoken with him through email. He's a very good, he's an intelligent guy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and he's able to describe. Okay, this is what 1400 years of Islamic conquest looks like, and what it's done to the Christian West, and how imperiled the Christian West has been in the past, and is currently by this Muslim mass immigration into the cities. But I think only, when you talk to Muslims, they need to understand, I don't want you here, and it's not, I don't want you here human being to human being, man to man, man on to man. I don't
It's
want
the
you
ideology, separating it. Yeah,
yeah, I don't want you here. I don't want you affiliating with me. I don't want you in my community because you believe in this book right here, in this Quran. And in this book, it tells me, your God says that I am the worst of creatures. That's
Yeah.
what your book said. If you believe this book, I don't want you anywhere near me because you think that I'm the worst. That's what the Nazis thought of the Jews. And what could
Exactly.
do something. In this book, it tells you in chapter 65, verse 4, that your God says that you can marry a little girl and divorce that little and consummate that marriage with a little girl, being an old
They got
slut.
no shame in it anymore. They don't even try hiding that no more. In fact, they're proud of it. I remember Ali Dawah saying, "We're proud of it." We don't care.
Right, and there's all kind. In 929, you were supposed to fight me and subjugate me and make me pay you a tax.
Pay the
I
jizya.
don't want you anywhere near me, and I don't want you in my community. If you believe this book, I want you out. And
Exactly.
you don't have to make it ugly. You just say, if you
No,
believe this book, this is what your book says about me. If you believe this, I don't want you near me. I don't want you near my family. I don't want you in my community. It's that simple.
you've hit the nail on the head there, Eric, 100%. And this is the thing. I always make a point of, well, not just for the fact of I could potentially end up in prison or have Prevent knock on my door again, which I don't want to happen again, but there we go. Putting me on the terror.
Well, you just what'd you just say? You just kind
Oh,
of
so
they knocked on my door and hauled me off. And what the hell? No, what?
So the Home Office created this task force of
That's
what
in
they call
charge that was led by a Muslim woman. Okay.
yeah. This was prior. This has been this has existed for quite a while. So Prevent is a strategy that is made by the Home Office in order to crack down on extremism and all types of extremism, whether it's the so-called far right, which is what they're targeting me for, did target me for. I had 3 meetings and they were satisfied that I wasn't an area of concern. But yeah, they were initially made to look at the Islamic extremists and de-radicalize them, so to speak. Help them integrate. Well, they got their jobs worth there, haven't they? But now it's more being centralized around those who have opposing ideas to the government. So if you are against immigration, you're labeled as far right. Mm-hmm. If you're against men going into women's bathrooms and using the toilet, you're far right. You're a bigot. And what they do is they send Prevent, which are part of the police force. They come out. They're almost like CID officers. They come out unannounced, knocking on your door. You answer the door, and they say, "Look, we've got intel that you may be a concern, and we want to look into what you believe in and why you believe in certain things that you do, and we want to discuss that with you. Will you take part? If you refuse, I think they just automatically just start monitoring you on a more frequent basis. They might, I don't know what, I didn't refuse, so I don't know too much about that. I accepted the invitation, I went, and they hire out a building, so that I had this guy who was a ex-far right, so-called ex-far right extremist, and he sat with me, and all he did was talk about football for an hour and a half. We did that 3 times. Not once did he ask me about my beliefs towards Islam. Not once did he ask me about my political beliefs or do I support this person or that person. And eventually the copper involved turned around and said to me, "Look, we're satisfied you're not an area of concern. We don't believe you're going to go blow up a religious building of any sort or anything like that. And with that being said, go and do what you need to do." That's it.
Well, then
I still believe I'm monitored, though, heavily. I'm not daft. I know that they will still be keeping an eye on me. But this is why I say what I do say, and it's not just because of it, but I say it as a human. And as you've seen with the video clip that I've sent you, I've shown it in action as well. I don't just say what I say. I separate Muslims as humans and individuals to Islam, the ideology. As far as Islam, the ideology is concerned, I want it here in Britain or in any Western civilization, any Western country that has democracy. I want it prohibited. I want it to be looked at and viewed as some kind of form of Nazism or some kind of, prohibited idea, political idea that goes against what the country believes in. That's what I would love for every Western country or democratic country to achieve. It's a long shot because you have the freedom of religion. However, at the point we are at now, the existential threat of democratic countries become an Islamic state, potentially nuclear power states, is absolutely huge. And if we do not sort out demographic change, if we do not sort out, a way of trying to keep voting in a sensible manner so that block voting won't, ruin an election, so to speak, so that everyone gets a say instead of people, one area doing block voting and the rest of the public just, doing what they used to do or what they traditionally have done. They need to look into this, because if they don't and address this elephant in the room, which everyone seems to enjoy insulting and attacking, by the way, which I completely condemn, you'll get the likes of GB News, for instance. I listen to them. They're supposed to be this free speech platform that brings you the news that mainstream media refuse to cover. They'll say, we need to ban the burqa. We need to ban the niqab. It's dangerous. It's insulting. I believe it's insulting. You're lying to a whole community out there in our population, instead of just telling them what's in your mind, which is, I just don't like Islam. I don't believe it's compatible with Western civilization. Rather than just saying that as it is, straight from your mouth, and saying it how it is straight, they go around and they'll say, oh, burqas are bad, niqabs are bad, we should ban halal food. And if you say you're banning halal food, you have to ban kosher food. Right. The kosher slaughter and halal slaughter. And then they'll say, oh, we need to ban this book or that book because it's too extreme. No, just say it how it is. Just say, look, guys, we've tried letting this ideology settle here and integrate and assimilate. It's failed. It's failing everywhere else. There's been 50,000 attacks since 9/11 take place across the world that we know of. So many people have died from our country from this. So many have been assaulted because of this verse or that verse. We can't continue with this unless you have some kind of reformation or enlightenment period that you are willing to go through, which you won't, because Islam is quite frankly stuck in the 7th century. Then we can't have you guys here. We have to ban this ideology. So if I was in power, if say for instance, metaphorically speaking, I had power of the whole Commonwealth tomorrow, and they said, what do you want to do? I would ban the ideology, and I would give 6 months to everyone who believes in that ideology to make a decision. You either change what you believe, or you pick any country from the 51 or 52 Islamic states that there are, and we'll give you a free ticket for you and your whole family to move. And you've got 6 months to get your affairs in order, whether you've got a business or a home to sell or what have you, and you can go and do that. That's what I would do personally, and I'd knock down every building, ban every book, make it illegal, and that's the problem solved. It won't happen again.
Okay, well, they tried that during, Raymond Ibrahim, he does a good job of telling the story of how during the Reconquista in Spain, how Isabel and Ferdinand banned Muslims, and you either left or you were forcibly converted to Christianity. And he said a lot of times these Muslims turned out to be better practicing Christians than the Christians were. But at the same time, they would go home and they would be praying to that rock in the middle of a desert, Arabian desert, 5 times a day, and they maintained their faith. So even I just think it's just, you just have to completely educate the society to understand that this book is just, it's evil. It's anti-Western, it's anti-Christ, it's anti-Christian at its core. And that
Anti-democracy.
And the thing is that if you are a human being and you believe that this is the word of God, and the word of God says all of these things, and have a list, just 5 things, 5 simple things that you can say right off the top of your head. If you believe all of these things, then you and I cannot coexist. You are not compatible with my beliefs. You're not compatible with the beliefs of Western society, and you have to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Even the one thing, believing Muhammad is the perfect example for the whole of mankind. If you go and look at the Quran and the Hadiths and look how he lived his life, especially in comparison to Jesus, who was, around 600 years prior, well, it's there. Do you want that kind here, do you? Is that your perfect example?
And that's the thing, we can sit here and insult Muhammad all day and say, well, look at your prophet. Your prophet was a genocide, raping, pillaging, murdering, enslaving, slave trading, pedophile. You can say all those things about Muhammad, but to say that, do you believe this book? If you say, and of course the Muslim's going to say yes. Here's Ed. This is funny. The Islamist. Yeah. If you believe this book, you have just a certain list of things. And okay, you believe that I am the worst of creatures. Do you believe that I'm the worst of creatures? They'll say, oh, no, we don't. But your book says I am, and that my abode is going to be in the fire of hell. Do you believe you're Allah? Who should I believe? You're Allah or you? Well, if you don't believe that, why are you Muslim? So, I think that to attack Muslims by using this book and saying what is in this book is just so antithetical to Western civilization. That's the way to offend them out. Get out. If you believe this, get the hell out. But then the problem, and you hit the nail right on the head there. The idea of them gaining a majority and gaining control of governments that have nuclear weapons is scary as hell. I mean, that really, we think of England, or let's just take France. France has nuclear weapons. How close are they, as far as the population, to losing their parliamentary form of government and falling to a Sharia compliant state?
Takes one referendum. And don't forget, with the referendum, what they did in Lebanon as well is after Friday prayers, they would make sure that they had believers or the faithful, whatever you want to call them, out on the streets as soon as they finished prayer, forcing people to convert. So once they do get majority status in certain areas, they do tend to flex their muscles, so to speak. We see it now in areas like Whitechapel and other places across London, where you've got enclaves with the majority of the population there being Islamic, and they literally do whatever they want. They live how they want to. We had 2 Muslim men recently videoed on horseback, making sure that Sharia law was... Yeah. So, it's going against the very grain of who we are.
You hear me? A knife. Those horses are going down. You are not doing that to me. As much as I love horses, those horses are coming down, and you're coming off of that horse. You get anywhere near me. That's the thing. People need to stand up when shit like that happens. People need to stand up, and if it gets ugly, it gets ugly. You are not going to come in and try to dominate me, my family, or my community with this garbage. You're not doing it, and that's the spine that England needs to flex in order to do that. Let me what I want to do is I want to show this video that you'd sent me. Where are we? Add to the screen, and then we're gonna talk about it when we get done here. Let's go ahead, and where did you go? Right there. Play.
Where is everyone? The police are coming down that way, so I'm assuming trouble's down that way. Manchester.
Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, what has become of Manchester? I don't think it's safe carrying these flags. I'm pretty sure I can find some more elsewhere, so I'm gonna have to put those flags down. for now. And yeah, because I'm just not getting a good vibe at the moment. Well, it was lucky I abandoned those flags, because right now I would have walked into that. Thank God. Look what I would have walked into had I have continued holding those flags. Wow. I would have. Where is it?
Okay, let's minimize that. Okay, so what was that from, Byron? Go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, so the flags in question were that of our own home nation. It was the Union Jack. This was a remigration march, which was held by Britain First, which is a very small political party. However, they were holding this protest for remigration in Manchester. And there was a counter protest, which was made up of Islamists and Antifa, the left, the political left. What you would call Democrats. And they made it near enough, well, they tried to make it impossible for us to march through the route that was intended and planned with the police. So they would sit down, they were sitting in places, they were attacking from certain areas, so they would get into
right here, that's on the screen. Hold on, let me, where did I go? Where am I at? This right here, this guy that was on the ground here, we just saw. You were actually yelling at the people to get off of him because he was getting beat up.
So this video went viral. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So they were like, so at the flashpoints where they could come out and potentially attack people, they were. So one woman got strangled with the Union Jack, the flag. One man got beat up, not just by the left, but by the police. He was rendered unconscious 3 times. By the police. So they hit him in the back of the head with a baton. They made him unconscious 1 time. After about 10 minutes, he got back up. They hit him again. He was unconscious. He got back up. And then when they hit him the 3rd time, he went down, but he didn't get up for, he was down for 45 minutes and he was still down when I left. So what happened to him, I don't know. But as I was continuing, so the march kind of split up in different segments because there was thousands. I mean, tens of thousands of these lefties and radicalists that were coming out of all these areas and splitting the march up. So people were arguing. It was very, the atmosphere was very tense. You tried to have discussions with them and tried to debate them, and you couldn't because they would just shout fascist and Nazi in your face and got nowhere. And what you see is just people literally getting into fisticuffs on every corner. So there wasn't a single street or moment where you didn't hear sirens or seen police vans rushing past or horses. So I got lost and I managed to break away from what was going on, and I was trying to find my way to where everyone had gone. I didn't know where everyone had gone. I got caught up in this moment that had took place prior, which we'll go into, that lad. And I was walking with my British flag. So they gave out at the start some flags on poles, and you were supposed to carry them and to the final destination where they were going to give speeches and have music. Now I'm trying to find everyone. I'm thinking, where is everyone? And as I'm doing that, I'm recording saying, oh, wow, look, people have dumped their flags. I'm saying, oh, I ain't dumping my flag. I said, I don't care where I am. I said, I ain't dumping my flag whatsoever. I'm a patriot. I love my country. It's not happening. But about 5 minutes later, I get this overwhelming feeling hit me. And I'm thinking, something ain't right. I don't like this. And I don't know why, but I went from saying I am not, in a bullish way as well. I'm not putting my flags down for no one. And then changed my mind completely, did a 180 turn and said, I'm going to put them down now because I don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. I put them down, and as soon as I walked around the corner, that video doesn't do it justice. There were thousands of Antifa Islamists that were shouting all sorts, absolute all sorts. And some of them know me. Let's just put it that way. Some of them know who I am, what I talk about, how I say things. Had any one of them recognized me, that would have been it. Because that day they meant business. And it was only a week prior that event, someone got killed in France by Antifa. So they're all masked up. They don't care. They will beat you to as big as you are. If there's a massive group of them, you're in trouble, right? And the police are stretched. The city was literally, you could smell it was like testosterone, if you like. It was the iron. And it was crazy. And that was where I got the first taste that we are heading towards civil war. And with the Muslim guy, so again, we were marching, and this Muslim guy came out of nowhere and started shouting abuse towards some of the Patriots. So one of the Patriots got in a fight with him, and I thought, it doesn't matter, one-on-one, that's fine. I've got no problem with that. But when it got to the point the guy was on the ground, and then they started stomping on his head, that was when I got involved and pushed my own Patriot friends. I pushed them out the way. I said, hey, you do not kick a man when he's down. And the reason I did that as well, it wasn't just for the fact of, I didn't want the guy being killed. This is a protest at the end of the day. I don't want anyone dying on any side. As long as I always pray before any protest I attend and say, God, please make sure everyone gets home safe. I don't care which side, I want us all to have our say, vent our differences, and everyone goes home. As long as that happens, I'm happy. But this Muslim guy, he goes down, and I see that they're stomping on his head, and the guys meant business. They were going to finish him. So I used my weight to push them away, and they said, what are you doing? And the police, by that point, had grabbed the guy on the floor and arrested him. And I took them to the side and had a word. I said, how would you feel if next week you were sat in a dock for murder, and then we get labelled or branded in the mainstream media as far-right racists or patriots, kill Muslim, I don't know, painter and decorator, British Muslim painter and decorator, because that's how they would have worded it. And that would have then gave the Labour government more reason to ban protests on our side of things. That would have given them, they would have been able to flex the arm of this whole, let's attack anyone with opposing views to us or with views against migration even further than what they already are. So, I had to speak, a bit of wisdom to them, if you like, saying, would your family want you to go down in prison for 25 years? For what? The guy called you a prick during a protest.
I am.
You really want to do life
problem with that. How you see it, no problem. Well, but
you want to do a life sentence?
We were talking about at the beginning of the show is when we were talking through this. You're telling them, say, hey, get off of this guy. We don't do this. We don't sit here and curb stomp. Get 20 guys here and curb stomp. That's what they do. That's what these when they run around like a pack of animals, and they corner people like you would have been cornered or something like. They would have had no problem doing that to you. We don't.
That was their argument. The lads that were there, they said, well, they would have, if it was the other way around, they would have killed us. And I said, yeah, but we're not them.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to get to a point where they're as bad as them.
We don't do that.
Can I jump in with I've got the video keyed up at that moment. If you guys want to see it, want to show it to the public.
Yeah, let's go ahead and stop mine. Show yours. Go ahead.
Is this the different angle? This one?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Let us play it, and you tell us what's.
Whoa! Oi! Don't kick a man when he's down! Don't kick a man when he's down! Don't kick a man when he's down! Yo!
I mean, just saving the day yet again.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Don't. Yeah. That's exactly what musrats do. We have way too many videos of them going into Christian parts of town and cornering a Christian, whoever it is, and just giving them, absolute savage beatdowns.
Yeah.
But that's not Christ. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
But when we go ahead, Nico. I'm sorry.
Sorry. No. Yeah. I just thought that's the thing. I mean, you're seeing it from his perspective, from his point of view. So you're not catching quite all of it. But what we're seeing there, what we're witnessing, is Patriotic Christian here jumping in at really a historical moment. I think it's fair to say that. Yet
Yeah,
again,
it did get viral, that video, from someone else's view, but you could see me pushing the guys out the way as well, which you don't see because I'm filming. So, but yeah. So I had a lot of flashback for that, a lot, but I'd do it again. I wouldn't see anyone get...
You had a lot of what back from that? What would you say that was?
a lot of so I had a lot of grief from people on my side saying why did you push our own, like why did you, because I pushed one of them on the floor, so you don't see it that much. When that one of ours, that guy goes down on the floor, that's where I've pushed him. So I've pushed him and I've got about 2 or 3 others on the side of me, and I'm like throwing them with my arm because they're trying to get past me to get to the guy. So when you see it from the aerial point of view, which someone had, and that clip went everywhere, some people say, who is this guy? That he must be an infiltrator. He must be this, that. And I was like, mate, you do not know my views on their ideology, believe me. But I put, however, and again, I'll say it again, I distinguish the fact that the individual and what they believe in are 2 separate things. Okay, so it's like that guy at the end of the day is a human. He has every right to protest as much as we do. And, it was tit for tat. No one deserves to die over name calling and stuff like that in the street,
Yeah,
I just don't believe in that.
Getting arrested. Do you know what the disposition of that arrest eventually?
They released him. So they released him. So after that, so a lot of there was lots of YouTubers there. They come and they started filming, and they took the guy to the side. I got his phone back. So there was a guy behind me. And I said, "Yeah, his phone's there." So they gave him his phone. And they just had a quick word with him. I think they told him he had to leave the area and wasn't allowed back for the rest of the day or something. And he was left to go on his way. In fact, this wasn't the only guy. There was another 3 separate occasions where there was Muslims getting out their cars and starting on patriots and you're racist, you're Islamophobic, and this, that, and the other. And
fat. How's that?
Yeah, and then you had the whole back of Muhammad's a pedophile.
Same effect. Your mama's fat. Your mama's the. We had to just come up with a bunch of lines about your mama, and see what they, because that's essentially what you're doing. We say you're a racist. You're a Nazi. You're a fascist, and your mama's fat. That has to be the new line. It's just become so, like you were saying earlier, it's just become so ineffective, so meaningless. Okay, we got about 10 minutes.
This is the thing, and I have a theory as well.
Let me just let you know we got about 10 minutes left, and I still want to cover future marches that that you want to participate in.
Yeah, that's
okay. Go ahead and finish your point.
Well, I forgot what I was saying. Sorry, no, continue. I forgot what I was going to say.
Interrupted by me. Okay, I'm sorry. This march that Tommy Robinson had last September, I flew this flag. I was telling you at the beginning of the show, I flew this flag in my front yard during for 3 days during that march in solidarity and support of it. There must have. Did they ever get a count of how many people were there for that? Or
right. So mainstream media turned around, told people. So that varied from 50,000. Some said it was 10,000. Some said 100,000. However, there has been some AI that has looked into it, and some AI has said 1 million. But one aerial footage, one video that was taken from a helicopter, which they tried to delete after it had gone viral, which was just silly. One of those had they did a grok. They used grok to have a look how many people it estimated there to be. And because you can estimate, you could probably fit. They did it in the terms of the bridges. They used the bridges in scales. And then they used that in terms of the amount of people that were on it and you could fit on it, so on and so forth. It estimated between 2 and 3 million.
Holy.
So that in comparison to 10,000,
yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show how corrupt our mainstream media is, and how they're quick, they're easy to lie, they're quick to lie.
Okay, now I think you mentioned that you have another demonstration or march coming up next month, was it? Or am I wrong on
So
that?
there's three.
I know you were talking about there's going to be another one in September with Tommy.
Not September. So basically,
Okay.
you had originally it was another Unite the Kingdom. It was called the Unite the Kingdom Rally. It started off on June the 1st a couple of years ago, and then it's grown. So they've had about 3 or 4 every year, and the last one was September the 13th. Well, no, they had the Christmas one, which was quite small, but this one is on May the 16th, and it was originally just going to be another, get together where people get to, come together, celebrate our culture, so on, so like the other ones were. However, there has been discussions. There still is discussions being made. This is going to be a message that's going to be sent to the government. The men have been requested by Tommy and other people in the movement to stay behind for a potential minimum of 3 days. So with that being said, the message that we're going to send as well, which is what they're saying, is that we've had enough and we want a general election. So we want Keir Starmer effectively to dissolve Parliament, and that's it. So it's
2029. That makes all the sense in the world, and that's the way to do it. Shut down the government. There was, I think it was in Brussels, where they had the farmers. Where we were talking about farmers protesting, where they brought in their honey wagons from their pig farms, and they just hosed down the banks.
Yeah. Well, it was similar last year.
I mean, that's the smell you never forget, and to get it off is almost impossible. That's the type of something non-violent but very provocative.
Yeah. Well, no, sorry, it wasn't last year. It was January. Yeah, so January I went down with the farmers, and we went and took over some dockyard in Bristol, and we stopped loads of lorries from being able to leave the facility for a good, I think it was like 15 hours, and it cost millions because of that. And we had tractors that came from all over the country. It was done covertly, so the police weren't ready for it at all. And then, it caused a lot of disruption, huge amount of disruption. But that was a good protest.
That's the points that you need to make. You need to, and even the Antifa here in the United States has gotten the hint. You have to make if you're going to make a statement and you're a minority, or if your statement's not that popular, it has to be to where you shut things down. This is where you have these idiots out there standing in front of semi trucks going into slaughterhouses or whatever. Save the chickens or what. I don't even know what the heck they're up to. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's the type, or they glue their hands to the ground or whatever. This is the type of action that, I mean, just a few can do. Think of what would happen if 3 million of you guys got together and just kind of hung out and just shut the entire country down. Just shut the entire country down for however long it takes. That type of demonstration.
Yeah.
That's that's how civil wars start, or revolutions start, is they get progressively, the progression of the impact of these things keeps increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing, and then the next thing you know, people are getting their head shut off their shoulders.
Professor David Betts, who is a very serious data analyst and has a lot of credentials. Yeah, so he has already said that, in fact, we're not going into a civil, we are already in one. There's just certain stages of it that, like you said, there's certain areas that progress. Now, obviously on the 16th of May, our aim is not to cause any, damage or criminal damage or violence or anything like that. It's not going to be like that. However, what we want to do is something different. We don't want to just go to a rally, listen to some music, hear speeches, because speeches and music are not going to save our country. So we've realized that. We've seen what Bulgaria did. We've seen what Chile have done. That mass non-compliance and people taken to the streets and staying put until you get what you want is the only way you can peacefully get what you need done. And that's the hope. The whole aim is that we do that, and we've got enough independent media painting the narrative that the British people have had enough, and we get the likes of, let's say, the Trump administration giving Keir Starmer a call saying, you need to do what democracy is meant for. Listen to your people. We need that pressure. That's what we need to do. Now, at first, when Danny Thomas, who put a bit of a video about this out, he was kind of like saying, we're going to stay there. It's going to be men, 70,000 we need, potentially, he said. And that's it. And we're going to do something different. He didn't elaborate that much. So I created a video saying what we need to do, that everyone needs to participate. And it needs to be not just for 3 days, but for as long as possible. And I also added, look, I know I'm not Tommy Robinson. However, we are two different people. He does his thing, I do mine. However, what I was saying is if I had the reach that he does and the amount of support that he has managed to gain over the past 2 decades, the first thing I would have done this yesterday, if not before, is I would have went to London, took as many people as I possibly could, and I would have made sure that Labour government gave up. Because Tommy's realised this now, and he has come out with a video addressing what we're going to do and why, and he has said, the longer we go on with our silence, the more attacks are going to take place, the more that we have to live like this, and we don't have to live like this no more. So this isn't about Tommy anymore. This is about Britain. This is about the future for our children. And if there are people in England or Britain right now that are saying, I'm not going because I don't like Tommy Robinson, or I don't like that person that goes on stage, well, you're part of the problem. Because this is not about individuals now. This is about our country, the safety and security for our children, and the country that we pass them down. I don't, like you said earlier, 2029 is too late. Our country will be unrecognizable by then.
When you said 2029, I'm like,
it's too long.
No, it's too far. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so this demonstration is going to be May 16th.
May 16th, London. There's another one next week, which is at Dover. That's to protest against, this is the flashpoint of where the migrants actually come in. So Border Force grab them, they collect them from France, and they bring them, that's the area where they give them clothes and send them on buses to hotels. Mm-hmm. So usually we protest outside the hotels. However, what's been asked is that those that do protest outside hotels next week come to Dover and put pressure on them because they're the ones that need it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm extending an invitation to you to come back not on the 17th because I don't know how long but the 24th of May.
24th. Yeah, that sounds good. If I haven't been locked up.
If you're not in, you're not in prison.
Well, who knows? Who knows? I might be on live from the ground. You don't know. I might still be there. It might still be going on.
You know, I tell you what. I'll send you an email, and then we can go ahead and coordinate. Because I want to get like the first time. Because you've just been nothing but a raw education for me today, and I really appreciate you opening my eyes to all these things that are going on over there. It's just absolutely absurd. And I thought, there was, things were bad. And I'm like, well, why don't they rise up and do something about it? And now I'm thinking, why don't these guys importing guns and just going to the street? If anything even close to like that came to the United States, we got guns here.
You've got the Second Amendment, haven't you? But not only do you know what they're doing now? Here, they're banning crossbows. They're banning any type of kind of weapon or any kind of self-defense that anyone can have. They're making it illegal now. So silly little things as well, like hard umbrellas and things like, they're making it illegal for you to own.
Good Lord. I mean, well, look at Braveheart. Look at that movie. I mean, they took a bunch of sticks but you know, I don't know.
We'll fight it. We will win. We will win. That's whether it's. I don't know how that looks like, but all I know is that we've never lost, and that we will win. That the people here, they have had enough, and whatever means necessary. You know, we want to preserve our country. We want to pass a democratic Britain that we love, that we've all knew for years. The same Britain to our kids, and that will be done. It's as simple as that.
Well, I love the resolve, and you know, somebody that's somebody that loves the connection that we've always had with England, even though we had to kick your ass in the Revolution in the War of 1812.
Hey, that was engineered. That was engineered. You know, your history.
The bonds that we have as English-speaking people, as a common government, you know, we can't let that go. And you know, whatever I can do, my little corner show here, I'm going to. So I'm going to extend that to you, that invite to you. I'll be in contact with you via email. And the reason I really got to run, I got things I gotta be running out of here and doing. And we're going to definitely have you back, and hopefully you can give us some good news on the effectiveness of that demonstration on the 16th of May.
16th of May.
And we'll have you in here the following Sunday at the latest.
Sure, yeah. No, that sounds great.
Okay, thank you for coming in and spending I know it's late over there.
Yeah, fine. Thank you for having me on.
Nico wanted to say something. Nico's got something to say.
Forgive me. Just 2 lines from a reading from a book, Beginning to Pray by Anthony Bloom. So one I tried to book last time. I've got the link in the chat. Anyway, so this is Anthony Bloom's father asking him in his youth. He's saying to his father, saying to him, I worried about you, and I said, did you think that I'd had accident? He said that would have meant nothing. Even if you had been killed, I thought you had lost your integrity. So in other words, even if you've been injured or killed, doesn't matter. What matters if you lost your integrity. Then he goes on to say, always remember that whether you are alive or dead matters nothing. What matters is what you live for and what you are prepared to die for. That's Anthony Bloom, Beginning to Pray. It's a great book. I recommend it for everyone.
Nico has been kind of waxing philosophical with his books. He made 2 recommendations: Way of the Pilgrim and Beginning to Pray. Was that the
last
beginning
week?
To Pray one?
Yeah. Yes.
And I appreciate that. Because those are great words of wisdom to follow and to implement in your life. Okay, I seriously got to run, guys. Again, thank you so much, Byron, for coming. You guys, Isa, Nico, Rad just got here. I know Rad had a busy day, and I'll be talking to you here as soon as in just a little bit. God bless y'all, and we'll see you next week on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group.
Take care.